On today's show, who's going to be the main character for the 2023-24 NBA season? Probably James Harden, probably Victor Wembanyama, probably a bunch more, and we'll play Count It Up and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen every day, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section who's going to be the main character of the 2023-24 NBA season. You know there is one. Last year, probably Embiid, Jokic. They were up there in main characters for a while. Then Jokic won the title. You know, it's probably both of those guys. Being every day, subscribe to the show on YouTube, like the video and all that. Joining me, as always, host of the Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat, the designer?
My favorite thing is when news comes out that James Harden asked for a trade and every GM unanimously goes, ugh.
Our 27-year-old guard off the bench is untouchable.
Ugh. What if we sent you a pick?
I want to know who the main character is of the season. So we're gonna make a couple of nominations, and then we'll talk about which ones we think are the most main character-ish, who's got that main character energy. We'll also play Count It Up with the dumb intro that I still haven't changed. With the little.
I love how furious everyone was in the comments. That's my favorite thing in the world. They were just like, "You've let me down."
I know. I couldn't use the sound. I couldn't use the song anymore because of the rights. So I had to switch to this. You can just hear it in the background. I can just hear it disappointing everyone. But we'll still count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including how much love is too much love for an NBA player. Because I think we've got some instances this week where we might have hit some levels, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to start here. One of the main characters of 2023-24, the NBA season, is James Harden. Unequivocally, he's just going to be. We're going to talk about him enough. And a main character is not the best player in the NBA. A main character is not maybe even a good player in the NBA. Just a player we're going to talk about a lot, and a player that will garner the most talk, the most headlines, the most clicks, the most, Shams and Woj reports about nothing that has changed. Like literally the report today, nothing was different. Shams Charania reported that James Harden had not been present with the Sixers since Sunday. That was on Wednesday, so he has not been with the team. Basically, they've played preseason games. Woj reported that teams have talked in recent days, but a sizable gap remains in 76ers and Clippers negotiations on a James Harden trade. Sources tell ESPN there's been little movement for months on a deal. Pat, it looks like we're not getting a James Harden trade to the Clippers.
My favorite thing in the world right now is the tweet that comes out of news that literally goes, "There's no news." We've gotten that so many times this summer. It's just like, hey, just want to let you guys know, still nothing's happening.
It's almost as if Elon Musk goes to these guys and is like, "Hey, we've got to garner some more clicks and views. I know I'm making up the view numbers, but we still got to have something so I can inflate these numbers a little bit." Can you just say, is anything happening with Harden? Sports is the last thing working on this site. Can you,
dude? James Harden is. I mean, he's such an interesting conundrum at this point, because when you look at the guy's actual play on the court, you're like, well, I could see there still being something there. But then when you look at what he does to the teams, like, hey, here's the one thing that I can guarantee you about this storyline. I've said this ever since the whole Harden thing started. He will not be a Sixer. He will, whether they release him, whether they figure something out.
He said that.
Or whether they just tell him, stay home. He will not be a part of this team for the sanity of Joel Embiid, because they will not mess up what they have with Joel Embiid here. The second Joel Embiid went, "Hey, I just want to be somewhere where people want to win," everybody's like, "Oh, well, hey, listen now. Hold on now. No Giannis."
Well, as long as Daryl Morey is in charge, James Harden has said he will not be part of a team that he is part of. So unless they're going to fire Daryl Morey and bring up Elton Brand or whoever else is in that organization still, James Harden will not play for them. That's what he said. And I believe James Harden at this point, because we have seen him hold out, demand a trade tank teams at the end. Like we've seen this from James Harden. So James Harden, absolutely a main character. Where does it end?
I at this point, it's gonna end with. I don't know. I wanted to give a thought there, but like I want to say it's gonna end with him.
I got Pat speechless. It's like
no. I want to say it's gonna end.
Man
with
has
him being
8 podcasts and he doesn't have anything to say.
I want to say it's gonna end with him being on a team that nobody would think of, right? Like it ends with him on Charlotte. Right? Like that's where careers go to die. That's where careers go to die, right? Like every player we've ever heard about. His career ends in Charlotte. It's like, what's he doing the last 2 years? He played for the Hornets. Like that's really what I'm expecting to happen. But it's just about what team is going to give up assets to get him?
Didn't Patrick Ewing literally do that?
Yes.
Hey,
so did Gordon Hayward. So did name the player.
Patrick Ewing was Orlando. Sorry, it wasn't Charlotte. But
oh yeah, that's a gross. I remember that.
It's actually an interesting one. Toronto. Has anyone talked about Toronto? They were like sniffing around the Damian Lillard stuff. And
listen.
They don't have any guards, Pat. They've got
Masai Ujiri already said he doesn't want a team that's going to be selfish, and he felt the team plays selfish next year. You do not add James.
You think that's
Harden
a deterrent?
Team.
You think that's a deal breaker?
You think that's going to stop me? No, I'm so far out on the Harden at this point because there's no resolution on any team that I look at and I go, yeah, I'm glad that team did that. No team should be looking to trade for James Harden at this point, and it should all come to a crashing end.
It's going to be your team, by the way.
The Bulls are definitely not going to trade for James Harden. I guarantee.
Doesn't that seem like such a Bulls thing that they would do, though?
Not really, just because I don't see like they've gone so far in the part that doesn't get in the mainstream media, and you're only going to hear over on Locked On Bulls with me and Hayes, is the Bulls have really doubled down on we have to develop young players. Like we wanted to get competitive. We're competitive, whatever that word means at this point, 40 wins competitive, right? But they're so in on we have no choice but to develop young players because that's how championship teams do it. That's just not sexy to say in this very long term.
The Heat are also starting Josh Richardson at point guard. So I'm looking at the Heat too as one of these teams. I know I was on here with Wes Goldberg last week, and we talked about it where it could end with the Heat.
How quickly does Jimmy Butler punch him in the face?
I think Jimmy Butler attempts to punch him in the face, but can't find it because of the beard. Like, where does the face end and where does the beard?
That or he accidentally hurts him even more because he like misses and hits him in the neck.
Right in the throat. Yeah.
Oh, God. I didn't mean I was going for the chin. It's much shorter than I thought it was.
And I think that James Harden will be a main character this season because this is just not going to end. I mean, we kind of just walked around it, and I'm sure several Locked On NBA hosts this week have walked around this going, where does this thing end? It just doesn't seem like to have any real resolution in sight. Like Woj said, there's a big gap between the Clippers, who are the only team interested in James Harden that we know of right now, and the Sixers. And so unless a Heat or a Hornets or a Chicago Bulls or whoever else steps up and decides to give Daryl Morey what he wants, either Daryl Morey has to say, all right, we'll take even less. Apparently it was like one pick, one swap, and Terrence Mann, and the Clippers still said no.
Oh. Here's the tough part too. Like at some point you got to match salaries, guys. Like you can't just.
Well, that's part of it. They've got the salaries. They're not worried about that. Like, hey, we've got we've got a Morris brother that's been hanging out here. We'll let you guess which one it is. We've got a Robert Covington that our coach doesn't want to play. So like we've got that covered. Like we've got all that. The problem is we don't have the assets to give that we want to give up because they don't want to give up Terrence Mann. Apparently he was untouchable. That's who I was joking about earlier. He's their 27-year-old guard off the bench that they haven't unleashed yet that they say is untouchable. So
hey, it's coming.
They'll trade him?
No. That Terrence Mann breakout season. It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, 32-year-old season. He'll be doing it. Give him 4 years.
I'll give you mine, dog.
All right.
I'll give you my main character here.
All right, coming up, let's talk about who else is going to be main characters. Let's stop talking about James Harden. I mean,
yes.
Let's talk about the other breakout main characters of next season. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Jace Medical. Jace has solved a problem that I didn't really even know existed. They've got the Jace case. I've got mine right here. Give you a little ASMR. They've got the Jace case, and you know that if you're traveling, if there's so many different reasons why this item will be essential for you. They have 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. So, I mean, we've had earthquakes, fires, hurricanes, all kinds of stuff. Supply lines could be cut off. You never know when you're going to need something like this. And now you can get your Jace case right now. Don't get caught unprepared. Everybody should be empowered to care for themselves and for their loved ones during the unexpected. Check it out and see what you can get. So don't get caught unprepared. Get your Jace case today with the 5 life-saving essential antibiotics that can help you with deadly bacterial infections and all that. Again, Jace Medical, JASE medical.com. Use the promo code Locked On. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everyday or listening every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. All right, Pat, we're talking about the main characters of the 2023-24 season. James Harden, absolutely going to be a main character, is already a main character at this point. My next main character, a guy we were talking about at the beginning of this, Victor Wembanyama. Absolutely a main character. He is going to be talked about so much. He's the next guy. He's the next one that everybody's going to look at. He's going to take all the attention away from your Luka Doncic, from your Anthony Edwards, your any young rising star. He's going to take the attention away because he's somebody and someone, a type of player we've never seen before.
Yeah, listen, I was somebody who was skeptical, and granted, he hasn't played anybody who really can body up and force him out of the paint just yet. But what I've seen is like a guy who can handle the basketball like a guard. And the funny thing about it was the biggest question I had on him was, yes, of course he can handle the basketball. He's a big man that can handle the basketball. But if he's dribbling at his regular height, that should be steals every day. Victor dribbles very low to the earth, gets past.
He's hunched over. He's doing the thing.
I saw him do a nutmeg on Reggie Bullock on Reggie Bullock as he's coming through the lane. I mean, like there is, and the part about it that gets me the most excited is when I look at his game, there's so many things that are technically correct. Even when I see him in the post, right, his footwork is at an elite level. Now, do I think that he's going to be able to do those moves on every center in the NBA, right? Are you down in the post, spinning off of Jokic and cooking him? Probably not, because Jokic can just go, you're going to go that way right now. I'm not going to let you get down here. But then you have to bring in the aspect of this guy shoots over people and jumps on his jump shot. It's not like he's got like that center, like, I'm just going to stand here and flick the Tim Duncan, right? The Tim Duncan, I got this. You're not good enough
to stop me. I'm
to shoot over you. Yeah, I mean? No, Victor's like pulling up like Steph Curry, just jumping full length, probably at the height of, I don't know, what's he, probably 9 feet when he jumps on his jump shot. At that point, arms fully extended. Like, I love what this kid brings, and I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. He's definitely going to be a main character because the NBA made rules to ensure that he's going to be a main character. Pop, you cannot sit this young man.
Yeah, right. Like, you can't just rest him. You got to come up with something. There's got to be a fever of some degree to keep him out.
What happened to Victor Wembanyama? He died. I can see him. I can see him right there. No, he's not here.
Cause of missing game, death. just not in. His release point on his shot too is what to me has really been standing out. I saw him do a turnaround, like mid-range fade jumper, and you're like, oh my gosh. The things that we worry about KD with, like how do you guard KD? Because his release point is so high, he can shoot anywhere, he can get his shot anywhere on the court, and Wembanyama's gonna get there at a certain point. And man, it's like, what type of player would you even come up with to guard somebody like him, right?
I think that's the problem too, right? You know he's going to gain weight. You know he's worked on his body a ton. He's already in professional mode. And on top of that, you mentioned the release point. To me, it's how he gets to the release point. He's got the handle to create his own shot, very much like a KD. And at least with a KD, right, like you can't stop KD, but at least I have guys in the NBA who are comparable, right? I can send a Kawhi Leonard at you. I can send a Paul George at you. They can do the best that they can on you and make things a little bit tougher with a hand in your face. Where are you putting a hand at on this guy? If I jump with him, pause. That's crazy. Well, if I jump with this guy here, I mean, realistically speaking, like, it's a foul. because of how he does the jump shot, the lean back that he has in it. Like, Victor to me is a really exciting player. Now here's the thing. These are the best defenders in the world. These are the best players in the world. They're going to adjust. I think the exciting part, and even adds to the storyline of Victor Wembanyama, is how does the NBA adjust back to him?
Yeah. Do we have the teams signing an Eric Dampier so that they can guard Shaq level of, do we do that again? Right. Remember when that was happening in the NBA?
When every team had 7 centers, just so that 4 of them could foul out.
Everybody's got 6 fouls, right? Like, the other thing with Wembanyama is his ability to grab and go. He's 7'4". He's gonna get rebounds, and he can just grab the ball and go. And that's such an asset in today's NBA to be able to do that. All right, give me another one of your main characters.
Let me get Ja Morant. Ja Morant to me is going to be a main storyline, because here's the one thing that I think people count out with Ja, right? The only issue that we have with Ja is the off the court stuff. Is there a major issue there? Whatever you say about the last situation, to me, right, maybe having some wrong people in your life, maybe having some people who aren't pointing you in the right direction, that's stuff that can be corrected. Ja Morant's still an elite basketball player. He's still going to come in and be a dominant player. I hope at a minimum Derrick Rose teaches this young man to not just drive recklessly to the hole and hit the floor. If you learn anything from Derrick, learn that. But and Derrick was very different. Like, he would just power dunk it over everybody. But yeah, Derrick was a monster. Stop playing with him. I miss you. I miss you so much. Please.
Back when times were good.
Tom Thibodeau. Let's get it back together. Joakim
the last time my life was good in Chicago.
Yeah.
Who did you say?
No, I enjoy it. Tom Thibodeau. As he joined, we already got Joakim Noah as an ambassador. I said, give me Joe as a coach. Just give me Joe as a coach. Tom right there. We bring back Jimmy Butler. End of his career. We might as well. We're bringing back old guys anyway. Let's do it.
Can we get Taj back? Can Taj Gibson come back?
Taj is still playing in the league.
Still with the Wizards.
He's on the Wizards, isn't he?
We didn't do this on Count It Up. We should have, but the Wizards did a fashion show, and they walked in, and I saw Taj do that, and I'm like, don't the 15-year veterans get exempt from the fashion show? Like, do we have to make them do that too?
I love that Taj Gibson is still in the league. That makes me so happy, because it's just like, what's he do? He still just dunks on people. Okay, cool. But no, to me, Ja Morant is an elite storyline this season, because he's going to come back. He's still going to be a dominant player. He's still going to win. What is that going to, and how far is he going to be able to take that Memphis team that, in my mind, got better this offseason by means of selling off a certain piece that shall remain nameless to just let that go over to Houston. Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about him. I'm not a big fan.
Dropped 39 on Team USA.
Yeah. Oh, did he? No. Oh, hey, listen. When guys play for their country, what Patty Mills do last season? Exactly.
He also got kicked out of the first preseason game in 5 minutes. So
talk about your nutmeg. So what are your thoughts on Ja Morant returning?
He's a good one as a main character, because there's something already built into the season, right? We're 25 games in. We're looking for stuff to talk about. We've seen some teams play. We got, all of a sudden, here comes Ja Morant. Like, play his music. He's coming back. We'll have the what do the Grizzlies look like without Ja Morant storyline, and then we'll have the now how do they react to Ja Morant coming back? How do they add him? Or maybe the Grizzlies are terrible, and then we'll be like, they need Ja Morant so bad, and we'll be talking about him anyway. Plus, there's the added level of, he's still going to be around the team. There's still going to be Ja stories and things. I mean, the ESPN with Baxter Holmes and Tim McMahon dropped the story about Ja today, and like, he's not even playing, but he's still around the team. He's able to be around the team, and so there are storylines already baked into that.
It's just until the season starts, though, right? When the season starts, you can't be around the team with a suspension.
We'll see.
I mean, listen, everybody, as long as nothing makes social media, but if NBA YoungBoy and Instagram Live is around, Ja Morant's going to be there. So,
all right, I got one more.
Let's do it.
This team was voted one of the most insane teams to predict, the hardest to predict if they'll have success or be a failure. And so whether this goes great or whether this goes terribly, Luka Doncic will be a main character this season.
Over Kyrie?
Because it's either going to go well, and then we'll be like talking Luka MVP, because we've been waiting around for the Luka to take the MVP season. This is the same year in his career that Giannis got one, Jokic got one, 25 years old, 6th year in the league. Like, this is when they start doing it. Or it'll go really bad. And then all of a sudden we'll talk about, is Luka the next star to ask for a trade? And then all of a sudden when that happens, he'll be the main character of the whole season, right? Like past James Harden and all that, right? So either way, I think Luka, it will be a main character.
I would agree with that. I think that this is his time to show. And listen, he played very well last season. The team didn't perform well, but he played very well. I think that Luka's given a lot of grace, though. That's the only pushback that I would have, that the grace that Kyrie isn't given. Most people look at Luka's situation and go, it ain't him.
That's what his coach said last year.
We could talk about Jason Kidd. We could talk about the defense. We could talk about, but it ain't him. I can guarantee that.
I'm watching, just like you guys.
Hey, you know what I mean? I want to see. I think the storyline may shift more because I think that you guys love Luka more than anything else down there. So I think the storyline may shift more to somebody else who's on that team holding Luka back, which I guess could add to the story of Luka. But I could see a Kyrie or a Jason Kidd being more of a main character there.
Every NBA star has an arc in their career. Wembanyama's in it right now. He starts it, you're beloved. Everyone's like, I was on this guy early. Everybody tries to say that they called it early. Yeah. He's loved. You want to see what he can do. You want to see more from him. You want to see him do this. And then all of a sudden some expectations come. And then usually they get to a point where they exceed expectations early. Luka plays to 7 games with the Clippers, gets to the Western Conference Finals. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy is insane, beating the Suns by himself, all that. You're saying, look at this team he dragged to the Western Conference Finals. Then all of a sudden there's expectations on you. And this is where you get the Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, where they couldn't win the title. They couldn't get to the title or to the finals. And then you start getting the hate. And then all of a sudden you try to make decisions. The players start making decisions for themselves in their career. And then you get to where LeBron is. And then you go to the other side of the arc where man, LeBron was pretty good. people forget.
It's amazing how when he stops playing against your team that he's just dominating with everything. You're just like, this guy's not half bad. He's no Michael Jordan.
Somebody who's pretty good in their career, Chris Paul. Chris Paul was pretty good. I mean, we kind of overlook it. Coming up, let's talk about the most interesting, fun things in the NBA in our segment that we call Count It Up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel has all kinds of odds and lines that can get you through the NBA season, the NFL season. It's America's #1 sportsbook right now. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Go check out FanDuel and see what they have. We were talking about Victor Wembanyama. Rookie of the Year odds right now. Victor Wembanyama, #1, plus 110. You bet $100 and he wins, you win $110. Chet Holmgren, #2. He's at plus 320. Scoot Henderson, 370. Huge gap. Brandon Miller, plus 2,800. You bet $100. Brandon Miller wins Rookie of the Year. You get $2,800 on that one. Amen Thompson, plus 4,000. Cam Whitmore, plus 4,000. That one's kind of crazy to me. Keontae George, Bilal Coulibaly. You can go down the list. Where do we have to? Derek Lively, plus 15,000. I could be set pretty well if I put some money down on Derek Lively to win Rookie of the Year. You can do it by going to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, put down $5. You get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So check it out. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everydayer, listening every day. We've got a daily Locked On show for your team every day. Check the link in the description. Also, Adam Mares and Wes Goldberg will be back tomorrow talking more NBA, talking preseason, talking James Harden. Another non-update will probably happen, and they'll talk about that. But for now, let's talk about the most interesting, fun things in the NBA in our segment that we call Count It Up. Adam Silver said on ESPN that the NBA is considering going back to East versus West at the All-Star game, which would mean no more player draft this weekend. So my question is, draft style or East versus West style? Which one do you like better?
Eliminating the All-Star game.
Just take it out?
Yes.
Just abolish it.
The point of the All-Star game, when the All-Star game was invented, was because I didn't have the opportunity to see all the stars in the NBA, and it helped build their brand up. I can see every single star every night in the NBA, and I do. I watch Luka Doncic probably almost as much as you do because he's really fun to watch play basketball. Definitely. I watch Ja Morant. I watch Nikola Jokic. I mean, like, name whatever player you want to say. We get to see these guys all the time. At this point, the players don't even want to watch or be in the All-Star game. Remove the All-Star game altogether.
You're done with it. You're done with the.
I've been done with the All-Star game for like probably 6 years.
I keep going back to the first year they did the draft style and the Elam ending, and it was great. We had that moment where it was like the fourth quarter was hotly contested. They took it seriously. It felt like good basketball in the fourth quarter, or at least good basketball for an All-Star game. And I keep going back to that, but it's. I don't think they're gonna recapture the magic of just that one. So I don't know. Go back to East West. It's fine.
I mean, who cares? Listen, the in-season turn. If you're doing the in-season tournament, promote that more. Like I could care less about an All-Star game that the players couldn't give a less of a hoot to be in.
No hoots given about the All-Star.
No hoots
game.
given.
A fan showed up with 8 Russell Westbrook jerseys on. He had all of them on at the same time. He left the arena with 9 when Russell Westbrook gave him his jersey. Westbrook said, "I don't take any people that support me for granted." My question is, how many jerseys of one player is too many?
I'm not a jersey guy while guys are still playing usually, but at this point I probably could go in on the Rush jersey. 8? But if you've got more than 3 of one guy, that's tough. That's a little high for me. It's a little high for me.
And to wear all of them at the same time. I mean, he was just doing the I'm a fan, like just showing all the jerseys he had. Russell Westbrook.
Welcome to TikTok generation. That's just the modern era.
Hey, we're talking about him, right? We're talking about him.
Hey, we're talking about him. Shout out to him. I mean, I'm a huge Russ fan. I think that Russ gets a lot of unnecessary flack, but I'm not sweating for Russ. You know what I mean? 8 jerseys, you're sweating a little bit. Is this a t-shirt underneath the 8th jersey as well? Does he have like sleeves on, or is he's raw dogging that bottom jersey?
Oh, hey.
Can we not say that? Can we not?
Get a room with your jerseys. Here's a speaking of love for a player.
Okay, all right. I was wondering where we were going with that. I had the Zion Williamson button ready.
The biggest Ben Simmons fan ever.
Oh, I saw this.
She came to a game. He had a tattoo of Ben Simmons' face on his chest. And Ben Simmons gave him a shirt, took a picture with him. My question is just, what the hell?
I don't even know what to say to that, dog. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, you put another man's face on your chest who didn't know you existed before that. Like that, I just smudged my glasses from that. I have no idea what to tell you about that, bro. Like I couldn't put anybody. I'm big with the tattoo world, and I'm not like, you know what I mean? But like if I was to get tattoos, I wouldn't put anyone's face on me except my daughter's, maybe.
Like
because
I've seen,
no matter what, those people will at some point let you down.
Well, unless they're dead. Like a Martin Luther King Jr.
That was too easy of a joke, Doug. I'm leaving that alone. You're not getting me canceled tonight.
Somebody that has done incredible things in history, right? That are like, that is like the life is already done.
Yep. Yeah, you go down that rabbit hole by yourself. I'm not cracking a joke on that one.
You got no MLK Jr. jokes.
I got nothing. Nope, you're not getting me through. Hey, listen. I got a career that's actually working in my favor. I'm good.
I got 8 podcasts, and I don't need to get kicked off of all 8 of them today.
You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what is gonna happen. Yeah.
Speaking of jerseys that we were talking about earlier, Kyle Kuzma tweeted, "Nike is ruining the nostalgia of jerseys. Every year it's a new jersey, and what gets lost is brand identity." My question is, are there too many jerseys now?
Is he speaking specifically on like the city edition thing?
That there are new jerseys every single year, and that I think the biggest problem is We get the Miami Vice jerseys, and we get the Utah Sunset jerseys. And then like the Mavs do the green jerseys that everybody likes. And then they just stop using them the next year. And then, they use them for a couple of years, and then that's it. And then it's done. When you get a win, take the win, right? And keep that jersey, because that was a big hit. Yeah,
and so many of the City Edition jerseys I've seen this year are gross.
Cleveland. I saw a clip of Cleveland today. They had this tip-off extravaganza, whatever. They're in an auditorium with a theater auditorium. They have this big thing on the stage of like an unveiling, and then they unveil it. They drop the curtain and they unveil it, and I was like, I could almost hear the like I could almost hear that music, because you look at the jersey and you're like, really? It just says The Land on it, and it was basically the same maroon color with the same like yellow. And I'm like, okay, that's it.
It's just mad quiet, and then all of a sudden you hear,
"Oh, brother, this guy stinks."
Like
that fish is the most savage fish.
Yeah, I agree with Kuz. I'm kind of done on it. I don't know if you lose brand identity though. Like, you have your jersey. First off, you play for the Wizards. There's no brand. But second off, like it
used to be the Bullets. You know
what I mean? Like, and that jersey was good. But to me,
still got the main ones.
When you see a solid Mavs jersey, when you see a solid Bulls jersey, Lakers,
solid Mavs jersey.
I mean, I like the little Dallas crusted. No, okay. I tried to include you.
The Mavs fans have wanted a rebrand for so long. You can't beat the Bulls logo. I mean, you just can't beat it.
No, Bulls have one of the most iconic logos of all time. It helps having a goat, but they're
the upside down crab is it's the greatest logo I've ever seen.
I thought it was a robot reading the Bible. That's what I've always seen. Yeah, a robot reading the Bible. Yeah, but no,
he's reading the Jordan Rules book. Is what
they were really killing this guy.
Bill Laimbeer did what?
I don't agree that you lose brand identity. I think you just play for a team that has no brand identity.
Yeah, I mean, they do keep the main jerseys.
What's your favorite Wizards jersey? Exactly.
Let us know in the comment section who's going to be a main character for the NBA season. Go check out the podcast that covers your team every day. Click the link in the description. I cover Locked On Mavs. Pat covers Locked On Bulls. All that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bye-bye.
Boom!